Welcome to the show, guys. This is Athlete Maestro, and the goal with every single episode is to help you break your mental and physical limitations in sports, as well as understand the business side of sports so that you can achieve your sports goals. On today's episode, guys, I want to talk to you quickly about the most important people you should be surrounding yourself with as an athlete. So if you're an athlete, obviously you've heard me talk about this on the podcast before, that you need a team around you. An athlete can never be an island, so I know that for some of you, you're young, you're still starting out, and you're still making your way up the ladder, up the ranks. That's perfectly understandable. But you see, you need a team around you if you're going to succeed in sports. It's extremely important. And I've talked to you so many times about surrounding yourself with those right people. Now, who are these right people that you need to be surrounding yourself with? That's exactly what I want to help you break down on this episode. Now, it's in no particular order, so it doesn't mean from this to this to this, but you see, at least out of all these people that I'm going to mention, you need to identify what is most important to you at the stage where you are before, of course, you then get to the point where you can up level and you can build that massive team around you. And of course, I've shared this on the podcast, and you heard this on the interview last week with Kultum Bakari, where she talks about Cristiano Ronaldo traveling around everywhere with his own physio. So the team that he plays for, so whether that was Real Madrid at the time, whether that was Manchester United at the time, whether that was Juventus at the time, the team that he plays with has a team physio. But guess what? This is a guy who would travel around with his own physio. So to him, they were essential members, essential part of his team. So he went around with them. So that's just like an example. So I want to spread this out, and of course, give you a broader picture of who are these most important people. What role do they serve in your life, in your career, at the particular point where you are? And of course, that would then help you to understand the people you need to surround yourself with, how you can start gradually, slowly building that team around you. This episode, guys, is brought to you by my program, Mental Mastery. Trust me, it's the best mental program for any young athlete. We're not talking about experienced athletes and, world champions and Olympic champions. No. If you're a young athlete, you want to learn to master the mental game, you want to eliminate the mental blocks that are holding you back from performing your best, then trust me, this is the program for you. Mental Mastery. Master the mental game in sports and eliminate the mental blocks that are holding you back from performing your best. AthleteMaestro.com/mental mastery. AthleteMaestro.com/mental mastery. When you're done with signing up, and of course, you've got your email to log in and to start, come back to this episode where we're going to help you build your team and show you the most important people that you need to surround yourself with.
Welcome to Athlete Maestro, a podcast tailored for athlete development, improvement, and peak performance. And now, here's your host.
And I hope you've gotten signed up to Mental Mastery, and of course you can listen to the rest of this episode while you prepare to take your mental game to the next level. You see, the reason why this topic is key, and I talked a little bit about it in the intro, is that, you see, like I said, no athlete is an island. That's a given. So you're going to need to surround yourself with experienced people, people who know what they're doing. And I'm going to give you a list of those people now. But I remember, there was a time when I was watching a tennis documentary, so lawn tennis, and they were going into detail about what it takes to really, make it in the sport from a financial perspective. So in the sense that, what do you really need, to the point where you're making money and you're not necessarily losing. And they talk about how these tennis players, right, when they go abroad to play a tournament and all of that. Now, obviously, you have the money that you make first round, the money that you make second round, up until you get to the final. So the entire budget for the event, let's say it's $1 million. They split that between the people that qualify for the first round, the people that qualify for the second round, third round, and all of that. And for the athletes or the tennis players, that are going to those tournaments, they have to calculate, right? Especially the ones that are paying out of pocket. What would it cost me to go to this tournament, right? And what round do I need to get to in order for this to make sense? So if it was going to cost them $2,000, so flight, hotel, taxis to go up and down, and all of that, then it meant that I needed to get to the second round, or I needed to get to the third round. The other key part, which was more or less what birthed this episode of the podcast, was where the athlete then needed to look at who were the most important people on a team that the athlete could afford to bring on that trip. So you're going to find the people who it was their physio that was the most important person that they had to bring along for the journey, because obviously maybe they had issues with their muscles, maybe they had issues with some physical parts of the game, right? And they needed the physio to ensure that they were in shape. So, if I practice too hard and my body doesn't recover, then obviously I'm out in the first round. So my physio is key. There were other athletes who it was their nutritionist that was the most important part, because the country they were going to, they did not want to eat the food of that country, probably because maybe they just didn't like it, didn't work for them, for whatever reason. But you see, the important part was that these athletes, there were some athletes who actually left their coaches behind. So the coaches for that sport, because they felt like, look, we can do some web online sessions, you can show me what to do, but I don't really need you on ground, because I'm going to have to pay for your trip and all of that. You see, and that got me thinking that athletes actually need to surround themselves with the right people. They need to build a team based off of the level that they are. So don't worry if you're a young athlete. Trust me, it is based on the level you are. I'm not saying that, at every level, these are all the people that you must have on your team. No. There are certain people that are on this list that, trust me, you cannot do without having them on your team. You absolutely cannot do without having your team. It doesn't matter the level that you are. They must be on your team. But there are others where it's as you go higher in your sport, as you get better, as you continue to improve, then you're going to get them on your team. So the first person, guys, the first most important person you should be surrounding yourself with as an athlete is someone who knows the path. It's someone who knows the path. You see, this is something that cannot be overemphasized, because you see, sport is a journey, right? And it's a journey that starts from a particular point, takes a particular route up onto the destination where the athlete wants to get to. And you see, like anything with a journey, there are different paths you can take to get to that journey. If I'm in Europe and I want to get to the US, I can fly straight, direct flight to the US. I can go on a cruise ship and take detours and all of these things, and I'll still get to the US. I can take the train up until a particular point, depending on where I am in Europe. I can take a train, then take buses, then get on a ship, cross the Atlantic, get to the US. There are many different ways you can go from point A to point B. But you see, when it comes to sports, you need someone who understands the path. You need someone who knows that, hey, these are the different options available. Let's look at what is specific and what is unique to you and the best path possible that will make it happen. And see, this is exactly what I do with parents of young athletes who they don't mind their children playing professional sports, but obviously they have certain conditions. Some of them want them to go to school. Some of them want them to get a degree. Some of them want them to see how ultimately, they can end up in this country or do this or do that. What we then do is that we sit down and we create a roadmap, because I understand the path in sports. If you're a young athlete and you want to play basketball, professional basketball in the NBA, so at the top level, there are limited paths that you can take to get there. Obviously, one of the paths is to go through college and be drafted into the NBA. One of the other parts is to make your mark in Europe to the point where an American team would draft you from Europe without necessarily going through the collegiate system. And of course, that's what happened to Giannis Antetokounmpo. So there are limited paths to get to the NBA. If you want to play football, for example, there's a path that you should take. I see young footballers who their dream is to play in England. Now, depending on the country you're from, if you don't have a European passport, that dream is not coming to fruition anytime soon. You cannot go to the UK when you're under 18 because it's against the FIFA rules. So the path more or less defines itself. You want to be a track athlete as well. There's a path that you can go through. There are different paths that you can pick. The path that would work best for you is what you want to look at. So from a very young age, that's why it's important. I saw there was a tweet, and I believe I shared this on my Instagram handle. So you guys, if you're not following me on Instagram, you actually should, at Tola Uglewe, where sports journalist Omar Katuba, shares this story of a boy, 15-year-old boy in Belgium, I think. Maybe either he just signed his first professional contract or something. There was something with him, and he talks about how in Africa, that same boy would have been doing something extremely different, that obviously is the opposite of the path that his European counterpart is taking. You see, and that's the essence of surrounding yourself with someone who knows the path. If there was a path that you should have taken from when you were 13 years old to fulfill that dream that you have in that sport, at 20, the path is going to be different because you did not take it at the time you were supposed to take it. So it doesn't matter. Even as a tennis player, for example, you want to get on the ITF tour, before you get on the ATP or the WTA tour, there's a path for you to get there. You see, it is important that as early as possible, you understand the different paths that are available to you. And of course, how each path would either benefit you, will be of detriment to you, and how you can start taking those paths. Extremely important. So that's the first key member of your team, someone who understands the path in that sport. And that's why you see, with the Athlete Maestro podcast, yes, we help you break your mental and physical limitations in sports, but we also help you understand the business side of sports. That business side includes your plan, includes your strategy, because it's important. You can be as good as anybody they've ever seen in that sport. If you don't have the right strategy, you're not going anywhere. If you don't have the right plan, nobody's going to find you, nobody's going to know about you. So that's the first important person that you want to spend your time with. You want to surround yourself with someone who understands the part. Number 2 person, guys, is somebody who can care for your body. Somebody who can care for your body. And this is extremely important. You see, your body is your tool of trade. That's what you use in executing in your sport. And you see, it doesn't matter what age you are. That's why I said there's some people on this list that it doesn't matter the stage you are, they're key members of your team. They're key people you should be surrounding yourself with. So when I say people who care for your body, I'm talking about that physical execution of your sport, the people that make you optimized for that particular thing. So a few weeks ago on the podcast, we had Lindsay Hazard on. Lindsay is a registered nutritionist. So she works with that food part. And one of the questions I asked, I said, what's one of the things that young athletes struggle with? Because she works with high school athletes, so really young athletes, right? Is that with the amount of training they are doing, they are not fueling their body with the right foods. So imagine training and not fueling your body with the right food. That's counterproductive. It means that your body is not going to be optimized to perform. So a nutritionist is someone who cares for your body. Now you have a physio as well. So all those stretches, all those things you're supposed to be doing to make your body primed, it is these people that do it. Then a personal trainer, so going to the gym, lifting weights, ensuring that you build the required strength, the required bulk for your particular sport. All of those are important. You see, you cannot say you want to play in the NBA, and you're not, quote unquote, a physical specimen. You don't have the physical requirements to play that sport. So you need to take care of your body, and you need somebody that's going to help you take care of your body. So if you're 16, you're 15, that physical requirement is key. And I've talked about this on the podcast as well, that look, there is no sport at all that doesn't have a fitness element to it. In football, you're running. Basketball, you're running. Obviously, the track and field sports, you're running, or you need to be strong. I mean, if you're not strong, how do you throw the shot put? How do you throw the javelin? How do you throw the discus? In tennis, you've seen how physically fit These guys are running from side to side of the course, running to the net, running back, and then you have short recovery points in between each point that is played. So there's that physical aspect to it. So I don't care the age that you are, the level that you are. You see, that physical requirement is extremely key. So you need somebody who can take care of your body. Are you eating the right foods? Are you training the right way? You know, your physio, are they caring for your body? And of course, you saw that episode with Kulsum Bakari as well, where we went into detail. What's the importance of a physio? You know, she talks about all those kinetic, all those stuffs that are extremely important. You see, this is one of the mistakes that I made as well. And that's why this podcast is beneficial to you, because in my time, you know, I never saw the importance of the gym. I never saw the importance of a dietitian. I never saw the importance of a physio or anybody who would take care of my body. I never did, because I never thought it was important. And of course, in this list as well includes your Mesu, you know, and all these guys who, you know, care for your body, massage your body, deep tissue massages, you know, get those muscles that you use to execute in your sport, get them primed, get them ready. So that's the number 2 person, extremely key. Now, like I said, this list is not in any particular order. I'm just giving you all the people that should make an essential part of your team. That's number 2. Number 3 is somebody who can advise and support. Somebody who can advise and support. So look, this person, they might be your friends, they might be your parents, they might be your siblings, they can be anybody. And you see, the reason why this person is key is that the journey is tough and the journey is long. You know, everyone talks about LeBron James and how, he drafted straight out of high school. You see, at the point where LeBron James was drafted out of high school, he had been playing basketball with intention for about 12 years. You know, so from when he was about 8, 9 or something ridiculous like that, and he was drafted when he was maybe 17 or 18 or thereabout. He had been playing basketball with the intention of getting to the NBA and being one of the best players of all time. So there's absolutely no way that during that journey, there wouldn't have been ups and downs. Times when he was injured. Times when, you know, things weren't going according to plan. Times when he wasn't motivated. Times when he felt like everything was going to fall apart. You see, you need people in those moments who can advise you. You need people in those moments who can pick you up. You need people in those moments who can support you. Not people that will be saying, hey, we told you so. Hey, we told you this thing would be hard. We told you we're not good enough. We told you you couldn't make it. No. You don't need those type of people. People that can encourage. People that can advise. Whoever they are. I mean, we've seen people who, or athletes who, their parents don't support them. You know, so they look for that support in friends. We've seen people who, their friends don't support them. They look for that support in their coaches or whoever it is. But it's extremely important because it can be a lonely road and it can be a lonely road fast. So you want to ensure that there's someone on your team who can advise you, who can support you. They can be a girlfriend, boyfriend. It doesn't matter. An uncle, an aunt, a cousin. It doesn't matter. You know, some online person that you encourage yourself from time to time. You keep yourselves accountable. You push each other. It can be any of that, but you need somebody who can support you and who would advise you, hey, you're not doing well. Hey, you're falling off the rails. You need to change your attitude. Somebody basically who can advise you. That's the number 3 person. Number 4 is somebody who knows the physical game. So this is different from someone who cares for the body. This is someone who knows the physical game. You want to be a footballer. Someone who can train you to be a footballer, can teach you all those techniques, how you pass, that can help you improve your sports IQ. That can help you break down the game. You know, so look, this is tactically how the game works. If you're playing this formation, you know, this is it. Someone who will teach you the game, the fundamentals of the game. And I've said this so many times on the podcast. You see that every sport has a fundamental. The more grounded you are in the fundamentals, the better it be. The more grounded you are in the fundamentals, the better it will be. And of course, this is where deliberate practice comes in. I think I should do a separate episode on this, you know, really knuckle down and go into this. You know, I make it a program for you guys, you know, not so sure yet. You see, there can be deliberate practice without the specifics for that particular sport. So the specific thing that you're working on and feedback on that specific thing that you're working on. So to do that, you need somebody who understands the physical game. someone who teaches you the techniques of that sport, how to execute the techniques of that sport. Now, I can help you with why you're not executing the way you should, why you're getting distracted, why your mental game is not on point. I can help you with that. But you need somebody who would help you with the physical game, the fundamentals of the physical game. So that's the number 4 person that you need. Number 5, you need a mental coach. You see, once I've said this so many times, and it's starting to sound like a broken record. You see, once you have the physical requirements to play your sport, to get in the door, everything else is mental, or it has to do with your strategy. So the business side of the sport. So you go to the NBA, everybody can dunk. Everybody is athletic. Everybody or most people can shoot 3-pointers. All the things that you thought were special with you, people can do them. What then happens is that the mental aspect then comes in. The ability to stay focused and not be distracted. The ability to stay disciplined. It's a mental part of the game. The ability to bounce back from setbacks and mistakes. The ability to get over the imposter syndrome, the fear of failure, the fear of success. All of this is mental. The ability to handle pressure and adversity at the highest level. Trust me, if you feel you are experiencing pressure at the level you are in your sport currently, I don't know what happens when you get to that elite, really elite level where the pressure is immense and it is intense. So you need a mental coach. And of course, that's why I created Mental Mastery for young athletes. So yes, you can't do those one-on-one sessions, for your mental game. This is a program that will teach you about the mental game, and it will also help you eliminate the mental blocks that are holding you back from performing your best. You need a mental coach. I cannot overemphasize it. If sports teams, and I always use this as an example, if sports teams, so pick the sport that you love, the team sport that you love, that team has a sports psychologist or a mental skills coach employed by the team to help the players. So there's a particular player who is not playing well, is struggling. They send him to see the sports psychologist, the sports psychologist. They send him to see the mental skills coach. You have athletes who they are 5 and 6 with their mental because they want to understand what's going on in their mind. Why is it that I practice well, but when it's time to play, I don't play well? Why is it that I'm very apprehensive when people are coming to watch me play? Why is it that I can't calm my nerves when it matters the most? But before the tournaments, before the game, I was as calm as anything anybody had ever seen. You need a mental coach around you. And this is another one that you need at all levels. So it doesn't matter the level that you are, you need a mental coach. So that is number 6, I believe. That's number 5 of the person that you need or the people that you need around you. Number 6, guys, is you need someone to spread the word. You need someone to spread the word. I see, this is where a journalist can be your best friend. So I see athletes who see journalists and, they're like, is he not just a journalist? Nah, how can he help me? These are people that write stories for a living. These are people who talk about athletes for a living. So sports journalists, they talk about athletes for a living. And we have seen in this day and age, in the 21st century, the power that journalists have in terms of the narrative they create in the mind of the fans and in the mind of the sports world in general. If you are not being talked about from the business side of sports, nobody will know about you. If nobody knows about you, then of course, how do you maximize your brand and all of those things that get you to be a household name outside of sports? What made Conor McGregor the highest paid athlete in the world is because, yes, he had the bravado. Yes, he backed it up. But guess what? Because of the things that he did, people started writing about him. Who is this new kid from Ireland in the UFC that is knocking people out? Who is this guy who runs his mouth, and backs it up? They started writing about him. And before you know it, every corner of the globe, Conor McGregor was fighting in the UFC. They were tuning in to watch. You need someone to spread the word about you. And that's where a journalist can be your best friend. And of course, we see journalists now, on Instagram, on Twitter, talking about athletes that people have never heard of, and they've absolutely changed the careers of those athletes. A journalist can be your best friend because they can talk about you, they can write about you, they can get people to know about you and give you an opportunity where you might not have gotten that opportunity before. So that's number 6, guys. Extremely key, getting someone who can spread the word about you. So whether that's a journalist, whether that's a friend, whichever one it is, or maybe, someone that is, working in the sports world or something. You need someone who can spread the word about you. Number 7 is you need a sports agent and a sports lawyer. Now, you see, these two can be, one and the same person. So you have an agent who is also a lawyer, but they perform different roles. And of course, I went into detail in this on a past episode of the podcast, difference between a sports manager, sports agent, and a sports lawyer. You see, first and foremost, you need an agent because of their connections and how well they can help you get into certain doors. You need a sports lawyer to ensure that you're signing the right contracts. You're not signing something that will put you in problem. You're not signing something that has not been properly vetted. And you see, you have a lot of sports agents who are not lawyers. So they don't know what's legal in certain countries, what is required in certain countries. So, they just get, and I shared with you the example of the boy who, was going to sign away his image rights, even after his contract with the agent had expired. But because he sent the contract to me, I was able to look at it and we're able to get him out of that precarious situation. So you need a sports agent and a sports lawyer, extremely important. And finally, you need someone who understands the business side. You need somebody who understands the business side of sport. You see, and this business side is split into your strategy and a plan, and maximizing, your brand, the things that happen outside of playing. So you see athletes like Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, what am I even talking about? Conor McGregor, 2021 highest paid athlete in the world. I think it was $185 billion thereabout. A large percentage of that money did not come from his fights in the octagon. It came from the brand he had built outside the octagon and the businesses that he was running. So Proper 12, his whiskey, is a $1 billion company already. So an income generated from that. Then, of course, he has his clothing lines, and all of that. You see, he was quickly able to understand the business side of sports. And that's why you see athletes with branding, which is extremely key and extremely important, if you're going to do it. Then, of course, from the strategy point of view, you see, the fact that you're good doesn't mean anything. If it doesn't make business sense to the industry or to the team or to the person you want to sign with, you're not going anywhere fast. So you need someone who understands the business side. An agent is only as good as the athletes that they have. So in order for you to sign with an agent, you're going to have to be good, because for the agent, it's business. If I sign this guy, I'm not able to get him a club, I'm not able to get him a team, I'm not able to get him to this country, what happens to me? My credibility in the business or in the industry starts to drop, because, that's a guy who he doesn't get good athletes, he doesn't get good players. So sports is a business, guys. I don't care how good you are. Sports is a business. You have to start thinking from that business side. So the business side of your strategy and a plan, the business side of maximizing your time in sports, and of course building a brand outside of sports so that it still stays. Michael Jordan till this day still makes money from Nike. The man has retired. When did he even retire? Why? Because he built a brand and he understood the business side of sports outside of sports. Same thing Floyd Mayweather Jr. is currently doing. There's a business side of sports and you need someone to help you understand it. Wow, this has been a long list. Let me just run through it again. And like I said, I'm not saying that, every athlete must surround themselves with these people. No. Depending on the stage that you are, depending on the level that you are, some of these people are key. But as you rise, then you need other people. So number one, you need someone who knows the part. Any level that you are, you need someone who knows the part. You need someone to care for your body. Again, any level that you are, if your body is not primed to perform, what are we doing? You're not even going to get to stage 2. Talk less of an elite level when your body is not primed to perform. Number 3, someone to advise and support. Yes, you can go it alone, at some point, but it gets to a point where you need somebody to support you. Number 4, you need someone who knows the physical game. So this is where your coaches come in. They teach you the fundamentals of the game. Number 5, you need a mental coach. Your mind needs to be primed. A lot of sports, a large percentage of sports, once you cross out the physical requirements, it's all about the mind. Number 6, you need someone to spread the word, someone to talk about you. So journalists come to mind. Number 7, you need a sports agent and a sports lawyer. Now, they can be one and the same person, but not compulsory. But you need them on your team. And of course, finally, you need someone who understands the business side of sports. So business as it relates to strategy and a plan, and of course, business as it relates to building your brand, maximizing your time outside of sports. Wow, this has been a long one. So what I want you to do, guys, is look around you. Currently, of all these people that I mentioned, how many do you have on your team? And I want you to send me an email, tola@athletemaestro.com. tola@athletemaestro.com. I want you to send me an email. Who on this list do you currently have on your team? Send me an email. If you can't send me an email, send me an Instagram DM @TolaOgleme. I want to know the people that you have on your team. Head over to the website, guys, athletemaestro.com. Check out all the free and paid resources that we have for you there. And of course, sign up for Mental Mastery. Extremely key. I just told you one of the key people you need around you is a mental coach. So you want to sign up for Mental Mastery, athletemaestro.com/mental mastery. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, you haven't left us a rating and review, I highly encourage that you do so. What your rating and review does is that it raises the profile of the podcast. Other athletes find the podcast, they know that this is a worthwhile resource that can absolutely change their lives. athletemaestro.com/subscribe. athletemaestro.com/subscribe. And of course, like I said, look around your team and send me that email, tola@athletemaestro.com. I'll catch you guys on the next episode of the show. Remember, knowing is not enough, you must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. I want you to go out there, start surrounding yourself with the key people. I want you to go out there. I want you to be a maestro today and every single day.